So, because of the nature of how these temples work and how they fit into the game's pacing, they don't really have mini-bosses, or they don't have mid-bosses, in the way that Temple Mine and Pyro Temple did. Instead, they just have these rooms where, like, what if you just fought a bunch of enemies, followed by a bunch more enemies, and then follow that up with a third bunch of enemies?
I mean...
And honestly, I can respect it.
Like, it works, but I feel like... I don't know if it really, like... It doesn't quite have the same tension and release kind of thing that a mini-boss does, I feel.
There aren't really a lot of points in this game where it does, like, the gauntlet of enemies kind of deal where you're really just going more for a long-term endurance against a bunch of enemies rather than, like, trying to, like, learn the ins and outs of one specific fight. It's just it's a different way of having a difficult part full of stuff. It's one of those times when, like, they actually test a little bit for, like, endurance and defense and your ability to survive in a fight rather than just win it before you die. So I can see what they're going for. Also, like, again, because these temples work differently with the pacing of the whole game than the first ones do, like, the boss of this temple, pacing-wise, is basically just a mid-boss, and the boss of the next temple is basically just another mid-boss. And then later we have the actual boss. So basically, I think it all works.
Honestly, it sounds like they drew this... I mean, so I suppose we'll see as we go, but...
Oh, they absolutely did wing this whole design, just getting that out there.
Like this entire thing feels like it's about twice as long as it needs to be. Like, collectively. To have 2 full dungeons, which themselves have bosses, but are really mini-bosses because there's a third actual dungeon with an actual boss. Like, I don't... Again, we will see, I suppose, but it doesn't feel like all of that was really necessary.
The mini-bosses we had were pretty beefy in their own ways. Like, what this is not so much here's a dungeon, here's another dungeon, but just like the overall rhythm of content in the game working in a certain way. And they decided that they were, for this part of the game, they were going to do it this way. There is, like, each of these temples is about as long as the second half of Pyro Temple, which itself was a little bit shorter than Temple Mine. And also each of these temples has, like, it's not even a designated balcony room in the middle, it's a break. You go outside, you're invited to go do more stuff, or just continue. I honestly think that this was the right call for this kind of stuff. I think it works. I can respect it. We can now open gold chests. And now, we get our element. How do you feel about games using trophies to make very specific callbacks? No reason. So anyway, third element. Shock's great. I love Shock. It probably doesn't require me to explain any of it. You can probably guess, like, everything that it does. Every theme that it has going on. Probably most of its text. It's all about combos and stuns. And big arcing electricity.
I was gonna say, you are gonna get chain lightning. Like, that's legally required.
Like, absolutely. You would not believe how much I'm going to love the lightning ranged arts. They're great. I love them all dearly. I also don't think there's a bad choice with the melee arts. Like, there's the standard big damage and then there's the big wide damage. I'm a fan of wide damage on the level 2 and big damage on the level 1. For guard arts, we've got clock block, and then we've got glitch time. These, they do exactly what you think. And then there's the dash arts, which, I'm inclined to forget about these, but the important thing is that if you missed the first time they busted out the Lightning Returns reference, they put a second one in here, just to make absolutely sure that you're aware that these guys are using the phrase Lightning Returns in their game. It's very important that we emphasize this. Like, seriously, I think we have like a contractual obligation or something. I'm not really sure, I didn't read the fine print, but it's there. And from getting the element, we move directly on to the big final climactic puzzle.
That's some pacing, alright.
Honestly, it's different, and it's notably different, but I can see why they did it, and I think that it works, and I think that this was the correct decision. Also, earlier when I believe I said that I really hope you like magnets, like, I really hope that you like magnets. I can see this going badly if you're not able to appreciate the finer points of the magnetic elements. Honestly, beyond that, there's not really very much to this puzzle. Like, the most complicated thing in it is figuring out the exact timing with which you are supposed to hit this ball. Because they do a little bit of a fuck you thing, and they put an extra element at the very end that makes the bouncing shot speed up considerably right at the end. So the timing isn't what you might instinctively think it is. But once you're aware of that... Oh yeah, also don't put that in at exactly that point. Messes the whole thing up. But yeah, like, these dungeons, they are, as far as the game nomenclature is concerned, they are dungeons, but as far as the development and the pacing is concerned, the three of them are basically one dungeon. See what I mean about that last bit? And it's not like they haven't put the bouncing shot rooms in the middle of dungeons before. Like, there was one in this one. So, in conclusion, yeah, like, the pacing is different in this dungeon. God damn it. It's good. No, it's not good. I leave all this in basically just to make the point that last bit is pretty much the only part of this room that's contentious at all. Other than that, it's fine. Nothing to it. unlike the other dungeons, there is one final fight room before the final boss. Honestly, having just gotten done defending the pacing, I have to say I don't understand why this room is here. It's like... No, we get it. I know how to fight fish, and I know how to fight blobs. I even know how to fight Blu-rays. What? Why is this here? Despite what I just said about different pacing being valid, I feel like it is somehow invalid to not proceed directly from the big climactic puzzle room to the boss. That said, what this room does give us is an opportunity to actually use our new lightning toys against the enemies here, so that's nice. A lot of these guys are a little bit weak to either fire or ice, but all of them are extremely pleasantly weak to lightning. So there's that, I guess. I'm also honestly a tiny bit disappointed that more of these enemies don't have more interactions with all of the elements, like all of the puzzle elements, I mean. Like, the Blu-rays are the only ones that really deal with the lightning bolts, and the alt, Q, pi are the only ones that deal with the magnets. It's just like...
Something that occurs to me. Can we not just throw a spark shot at the thing and set the lightning off ourselves?
No, it must be hit by ball. The balls are special.
That's stupid.
It's consistent. So anyway, the enemies in this temple are all fish and blobs. So I guess it's only fitting that the boss would be fish and blob. Also, this guy's got 4 phases. Mostly, this stuff is all pretty self-explanatory. You hit him with lightning to stun him, and then you do some stuff with the bouncing balls to get him fully broken. Then, in what I think is a lore that must be done at some point in every RPG that has a blob enemy, it splits up into a bunch of different blobs, and then you have to take out as many of the blobs as you can.
That's more of a Zelda tradition, I think, than an RPG one.
Either way, this game is extremely beholden to it. One thing that I am slightly disappointed by is you can't really game this bit at all. Like, the whole thing still runs entirely off of the boss's main health meter, so you can't, like... I think the real true thing to do would be to give you, like, 10 seconds to defeat as many of the blobs as you can, but as it is, the blob defeating phase just automatically ends after you've dealt a certain amount of damage. Also, I'm trying to use clock block on him, but it does not occur to me that attacks from above cannot be blocked by your shield. This one can, though. So there's clock block, that's how much it slows enemies. This attack, this effect that he's doing is like, that's the wave thing. I don't really know how else you describe this. But yeah, his shielding stuff gets progressively more convoluted as you go through the phases. In this one, he deflects it, and you have to quickly go and hit it again from the other side. It's a whole thing. I'm a fan, honestly. And for his final phase, the blob part of it has shrunk so much that you can just shoot it and deal damage. But it is still attacking, so, you know, watch out for that. Melee's a pretty bad idea usually, unless you manage to slow him down, in which case it suddenly becomes a very good idea. See that he can't hit you with that from a certain distance away. Yeah, not really very much to the final phase, honestly.
Yeah. That doesn't feel like a boss.
It's not. This is very much morally a mini-boss. In fact, you might notice that he wasn't even using the boss music. The game is very much aware of what it's pulling with the pacing here. Like, we can argue back and forth about whether or not this is good or whether it works, but the game is pretty straightforwardly telegraphing what it's doing, and that's most of the reason why I can respect it. Because they're honest and they're deliberate. They're like, right, we're doing this, we are going to bring about this effect. So I think the geography of what's going on here is that this is in the middle of a lake and the temple was running along the lake bed from the edge to the middle, and now this is the middle, so it's not like we're on the roof of something. Although I guess technically we are on the roof of something. Look, you know what I mean. Pretty much the most dungeon-like thing about this is the fact that we get a circuit override for completing it. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, we also get some sweet lore, the most important prize of all.
Oh, of course. On which note, there is a thing I've been wondering about for a while regarding the gods and their names. Like, this one is called Goni? I'm going with Goni because it's pretty, like, straightforwardly a pun on hexagon. But that makes me consider that I can't pass any of the other gods' names in reference to their shapes. Like, I feel like I'm missing something here. Or maybe it works in another language and Goni is just a coincidence, or maybe it doesn't work in any language and Goni is just a coincidence. Like, Quinn is the pentagon one, and Enel has triangles. Diaro is squares. I guess the Orbis is pretty obvious. What's the deal? What am I missing? It's obviously a really stupid pun, and I hate that I'm missing a really stupid pun, because I'm supposed to get those. Please tell me I'm dying over here.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna tell you that you were reading way too much into it, but no, the game just actively just spelled it all out. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. People do too many races way too often. Feel like the Ancients made a pretty foreseeable fuck-up by having this place be raining all the time. Oh well, at least people are having fun.
Say, the Ancients should have installed a retractable roof, obviously.
Clearly. At least this guy's having fun literally everywhere. Yeah, Crossworld's not the most accessible for those with the vertigo and the related conditions. Not really sure what they can do about that at this point. Anyway, we still can't talk to the guild. I guess we're gonna have to actually go over there. Also, Apollo and Jern are offline. But even more importantly, we missed a couple of chests. So let's go back and deal with those. This one is just one of those slightly non-standard puzzle solutions, which involves you having to commit the heresy of dragging this box out of the ring of magnets. Just absolute nonsense solution. How would this ever occur to anybody?
See, my first instinct was that it needed to block the door, so like the door, like that little break in the fence, so that it would go up there. Which, basically what it did.
It's blocking a break in something.
Yeah, basically what it did.
Then there's a... Honestly, this is a kind of bullshit. I hate this. The rules for what direction these things go in feels like it's kind of finicky, but honestly it is just a straight matter of angles. Like, it's the angle that you hit the thing at. So it's not possible to hit it from its starting point and get it to rotate the other way. Instead, you have to get it on this thing. I'm still not completely sure why it changes direction, why it goes in that direction rather than just going back towards the launcher. I don't understand that part of it, but that's how it works. I'm sure there's a solution that explains this with reference to the game mechanics that makes total sense, but I don't know what it is.
The only way that should work is if you caught it right as it was turning off the top of that water block.
Now, did you spot the chest in this room? Like, motherfuckers. How dare they? That's just impolite. Anyway, did you know it's surprisingly difficult to jump straight down off of a ledge in CrossCode? Gotta do this whole thing. Also, there's no real good way to get back from there, so yeah.
Well, no one can say they weren't thematically appropriate, at least.
Yeah.
Considering they gave you a sneaky shiv.
Very, very sneaky shiv. I like it. It's a focus weapon. It's a focus and bullseye weapon, so like it's the dedicated crit dispenser. This is what you equip when you want to not only have the big numbers come out of people, but you want to have the big yellow numbers come out of people. I believe I have aptly demonstrated the perks of running a focus build, or even a focus bullseye build. Right, yes, we should probably go talk to the guild, huh?
Ah, it'll be fine.
Let's just let things remain awkward forever. That'd be my preference. That's what I would do. Yeah, Emily. I have the strangest feeling that we just overheard something really important. Yeah, that's right. It's probably nothing.